Hello and welcome to the Hispanic Patriot podcast, a weekly podcast broadcast live from a secret undisclosed location here in the heart of the great state of Colorado. We are proud to welcome our many new subscribers to the channel and are happy to announce Colorado is MAGA now and forever. Here we speak the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help us God. My name is Nicholas Rosa, and without further ado, we have to welcome back from Peru again our fearless patron, Hugo Chavez Rey. Give it up for the Hispanic Patriots.
Hola, amigos.
He has returned.
They let me out of the southern hemisphere. They tried to hold me, but they couldn't.
Well, that was your gold trump card that helped that situation.
I played the trump card. Yeah, no, it was a great trip. Too short for my liking, but got to visit with family. The weather was awesome. I mean, it was in the 70s all the time with sunny. Now, the only thing I can't say was great was the traffic. The traffic was horrible, especially the night that we were returning. My brother-in-law said you need to give it about 2 hours to get to the airport, and I don't know, something clicked in my head. God nudged me or something, and he said leave at 7:00, and instead of 8:00, and I did. We went and got gas and then followed the Waze route. And this route that we got taken on, apparently, we didn't know about this, but there was a concert down on the beach on that main route.
Oh, and that'll do it.
As we dove into the route, once you're in, there's no getting out. And it was backed up for miles. And we moved at a snail's pace for like 2 hours. And finally, when we got to where the concert venue was, we saw that that's what was holding it up. There was also a couple of minor accidents along the way that didn't help. And
sounds like my experience in Mexico City, honestly, except everyone was going fast and it still took about an hour.
Yeah. But once we got to the concert venue, it broke up and we were able to move on. And then, of course, like a dummy, I missed my exit, and I had to go a few miles down the road to turn around and come back and take that exit.
Oh, my goodness. Well, I mean, it's too bad you couldn't play the ludicrous favorite out there and just get everyone out of your way.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the Lord guided us, and we got to the airport like with 5 minutes to spare. So I had to check the rental car in and then get into the terminal and get our luggage checked in and all. But it worked out. We were okay.
Yeah, he was able to come back, luckily, with no trouble at all. And Hugo, I did want to ask you one question about Peru, though. One very important question.
What's that?
How was the food? How was the food in Peru?
That's the best part of going to Peru. I mean, anybody that's ever been to Peru will tell you that they have some of the best food in the world. And I've spoken to a lot of them.
Absolutely.
I have spoken to a lot of American friends here in the U.S. that have traveled to Peru, and that's the first thing they mention. He says that the food is just beyond description. You know, that's the one thing that Peru is known for, is its culinary array, and I enjoyed myself for the 10 days that we were gone. My wife kept saying, "All right, you got to stop. No, you can't eat that." She was trying to control me,
keep you safe and everything like that. Make sure you didn't explode.
I said, "We're only here for 10 days. I'm sorry."
Good exercising in the mountains. You worked it off, right?
I'm gonna enjoy it. Yeah. So.
Well, we're happy to have you back, Hugo. All of our viewers are too as well, and very much looking forward to hitting the springtime with a vengeance.
Yep. So a lot of crazy things going on while I was gone here in Colorado, and
they took advantage of the situation.
This legislature, just when you think they can't get any crazier.
And it's not just Democrats is the huge thing, man. That's my biggest thing.
Yeah, I saw that one little tidbit that we'll probably be talking about.
Strong leadership goes, and the kids start to run wild.
I have some people on my list to call. that that I'm going to have some words with, because it happens that a couple of people who I'm friends with and that I feel should be, you know, uh, promoting conservatism, have been co-opted on a couple of issues, and so I want to get to the bottom of it, but I don't want to jump to conclusions. I want to hear their reasoning, their side of it, to see if it makes any sense. From what I've
Exactly. We're
read,
always fair and balanced here on Hispanic Patriot.
from what I've read, it doesn't make any sense. But I want to make sure that I give them the opportunity to, you know, let me know why they're promoting what they're promoting, and let's see if it makes sense.
Yeah, it's not disliking anyone and it's not losing friends. This is part of being a citizen and being a representative, is communication with the citizens and government. You don't have that, you don't have a citizen government.
Yep. And some people you can communicate that way with, and others you can't. You know, unfortunately,
you don't know until you try, though.
Others get defensive and immediately start, you know, bashing you or bashing the faction that you back. And
we Republicans aren't supposed to be snowflakes. We can't be doing that.
Yeah, I had a little discussion earlier today on Facebook, and this one guy responded to one of my comments. He says, "That's why people block you." And I laughed. I replied. I said, "Oh, that's great. That's awesome." I said, I welcome people who want to block me. You know.
Well, and that's the thing, is open communication is necessary in politics. We got to recognize our fighting sometimes is just sparring, because it makes us stronger when we face the Democrat enemy. And guys, our Democrat enemy is getting stronger every day. Do not be fooled. Just because Trump's in office does not mean that we can stay unvigilant.
Yep.
We should be more vigilant, actually, now that the boss is in power. I mean, really, that's the big thing. The main thing right there is that we got a guy who's bossing the world around, saying that they're not going to take advantage of us anymore. We got to support that.
Yep. So we're waiting for our guest tonight. Our guest is going to be Mr. Mark Baisley, current state senator from Douglas County, and also one of the gubernatorial candidates for our race next year here in the state of Colorado. Mark is a longtime friend. I've known him for probably going on 20 years now. When I used to live in Douglas County, so that's where I met him. Very nice spot. And we're hoping to have a good interview with him. So we're just waiting for him to arrive. In the meantime, let's talk a little bit about this House Bill 25-1312, which people are promoting as allegedly legal protections for transgender individuals, but the bill does not protect, it punishes. This is the bill that if you misgender your child, the state is threatening to take your child away from you. Now, if that's not totalitarianism, I don't know what the hell it is.
Anything that targets the children can only be described as such.
Well, I can tell you this, that could be the shot heard around the world if they try to push that through. And from my understanding is the Democrats are bold, they're undeterred, and they're going to they're going to promote it. They're going to push it through.
It's quite terrible, or as we say in my generation, bold, brash, and belongs in the trash.
Well, the question is whether the governor will sign it. We'll see. My inside track tells me that the governor is not inclined to sign it in the form that it's written. He agrees with some of the things in there, but he thinks some of it also goes too far. And but
he wouldn't be wrong about that either.
As this other bill that has been pushing through the Senate now, they've already voted to override the veto in the Senate, and now it's going to the House. And if they override it, then of course it'll go ahead and become law. But we've got less than 6 days left, I think, in in this legislature, and they're going to start ramming things through like there's no tomorrow, because there is no tomorrow. So pay attention, folks. Go look at the legislature. Look up the bills that are being pushed through and see how they affect you and your family, your business, because nothing, very little, if anything, in this legislature has been what I would consider beneficial to the citizens of Colorado. This has been a very left wing, very far left leaning legislature. And because they have the power, they're wielding it unrelentingly. They're not going to give up. But, the old saying, the pendulum swings both ways. And right now, the pendulum may be on their side of the aisle. But when it swings back, it's going to swing back hard. And that's what we need to fight. We've got elections coming up next year. We need to make sure that we get all this information out about all these so-called legislators who have basically just, put aside the will of the people. Some of these so-called hearings, they've shut down debate. They've cut it short because they don't want to hear it. They've got their minds made up. You got legislators sitting in committee meetings, playing with their phones.
I can't stand that one, man.
On social media, and just basically, ignoring the people that took the time to come down and testify and give them their opinions.
I believe that actually. Please.
They're supposed to listen to both sides. Basically,
you can't do that in 4 hours, and you can't do that in 4 hours. They cut the debate down from 8 hours to 4 hours. I think it was higher than that. So it just shows how much contempt they have for the people. And actually, Hugo, if I might just make one quick point, because we have to be very careful as Republicans, because that pendulum doesn't just swing towards the right. It also swings again to the far left. Recently, Nancy Pelosi is being challenged by Saikat Chakrabarti, or whatever. I hope I pronounced that right. The tech billionaire who used to be on AOC staff. And he is a farther leftist than even Nancy is. These Democrats, so part of the Uniparty, are opposed by communists and social democrats, squad proteges and stuff like that. And so we have to be careful that a lot of this hatred against the Democrats don't turn in to love for Marxism. I am very concerned about that, Hugo. As a young person listening to young rhetoric, very concerning in my generation. Of course, your generation faced a much different kind of red menace, but me and my generation, we're facing a very modern kind of Marxism that is coming with opposition to the Democrat Party.
Yep. So this bill that we're talking about is going to criminalize parents, and the Colorado Parent Advocacy Network, which is C-SPAN, or CPAN actually.
I was about to say.
Is calling on all Coloradoans and our allies to join us in fighting one of the most extreme and unconstitutional bills we've ever seen. HB 25-1312 has a misleading title of Legal Protections for Transgender Individuals. This bill does not protect, it punishes.
There's no protection.
They're asking every Colorado senator and Governor Jared Polis to oppose this bill, because what this bill really does is it redefines coercive control to include misgendering or dead naming your own child, making it grounds for losing custody in a family court or through CPS.
I don't know how it's so coercive if the fact of the matter is that what you're saying is absolutely true.
Well, that's exactly correct. And it defines misgendering as a form of discrimination under the Colorado Anti-Discrimination Act, forcing every business and public space to comply. So
it's quite absurd because, people don't understand our Constitution is that we have a system which criminalizes evil. Evil has no rights and truth has absolute rights. So they are trying to criminalize truth itself.
Well, can you imagine being a parent and you're a conservative and you
Well, even
refuse
if you
to,
just don't believe in this stuff.
you regardless if you're conservative, but let's just say you don't believe in this stuff, and you refuse to play along with the schools or a doctor even, and you get reported, and the first thing happens is they send CPS to take custody of your children, and then you have a hearing, and then the court can determine whether to remove the children from your home.
Yeah, the damage has already been done. The damage has been done, and the family has been broken up. And I can't imagine, Hugo, how our community, the Hispanic community, is supposed to deal with this. How is abuelas who take care of their little, being kids who are being brainwashed? How are people who maybe even don't speak English? How are people who are purposefully kept outside of the school systems, the school board meetings, and all these things? How are they supposed to handle this bill? How is our community supposed to survive this with our kids? That's really my question. I asked that to Greg Lopez. I hope to ask that to future governor candidates on this bill. Is how is our community supposed to deal with this? I really don't know how we do. It seems to me that we are very much at a disadvantage for following the law on this. If indeed it becomes law, which we have to pray it doesn't.
Well, this is probably the most egregious bill that I've ever seen, because the way that it's written is that they want to take and basically impose their will on people and their children. They want to tell them how they're going to raise their children, what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, etc. So, I mean, we need to make sure we fight against it and do what we can.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. I don't know really, Hugo, how we're going to fight. Seems how the government wants to make sure we have as little to do with that as possible, little ability to do that as possible. Because they're not just coming after the guns, they're coming after the kids, they're coming after the guns. Already jumped the gun there, but
Yep. So I am trying to get a hold of Mr. Baisley. I don't know what happened, but I haven't heard from him. So, okay. I just got a response. He's tied up in this legislature, and he wants to start at 6:30. Okay.
Man, we were just talking about that. Look at that, folks. I want you all to know in real time, they do not want your Republican legislators talking with the people. They want to hear you 0 hours, but they want to keep your hardworking, hopefully, legislatures on Capitol Hill. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that very interesting? I think it's very interesting, very much, Hugo, how the Democrats know exactly how to waste our time, whether we're the people at the DMV or legislators on various state and federal capitol buildings. It's very interesting how the Democrats have mastered this over the years.
Yep. All right, so we'll carry on with some other topics that we've got here.
I've got some spicy comparisons about this social media bill, if that's on the docket right here, because that is something that's been firing me up. Well, the social media bill, folks, and I don't know if Hugo, if you know the number offhand, HR BS 129 or whatever it is. But basically, folks, is we have a legislature that has no interest in helping you get better jobs. The Democrats have no interest in helping you get better health care. They want to regulate your social media. And the reason this really, really irks me is because you guys know that I do research all over the world. I do research in Eastern Europe and stuff. And what's very funny, this is a very funny fact, is that the Russian state apparatus for internet censorship has its own podcast. It was very funny to me. And one of the things that they keep mentioning on this podcast over and over again is our censorship is not about censoring freedoms. It's about making sure that the law enforcement can stop drugs and that we stop disinformation, which is harmful to the nation, which was a law under Benito Mussolini as well. And that's what the language that I'm hearing out of our gosh darn Colorado Democratic legislators and even some Republicans. Oh, this will help stop drug trafficking on the internet. This will help. That's what they're doing, Hugo. They're saying that they want more control over what we see on the internet because it stops crime that they suddenly all care about all of a sudden. That violates our First Amendment rights. That's what we're dealing with here, in addition to They want to get rid of your guns, your free speech, and your right to raise your kids the way that you want to. But that's what I'm fired up about, Hugo, with the social media thing, is that it parrots the talking points of censorship organs of places like Russia, China, Iran. I don't know where they thought that this was the best school to go to, but it would seem that authoritarianism has taken hold in the Democrat Party thinking here in Colorado.
Yep, absolutely. On another topic, did you happen to see the video of Polis raising the Mexican flag down at the Capitol?
You know what? I actually didn't. I must have repressed it, but but I would love to see it again.
Oh my God, this just blew my mind.
As a Mexican, let me see how I feel about this, because I have a feeling it will not necessarily be positive.
Yeah, well, I had to get it.
No problem.
In the meantime,
let me say one quick word about binationalism in the United States, because I think people totally misunderstand the point of assimilation, what you're trying to do. And so whenever people have problems with this, I always go back to history. Look at the Roman Empire. What were you expected to be if you were a good Roman, but also a good local Gaul, Hispanic person, whatever you were? You helped and sustained your community, but your language, politics, that was the Romans. But your religion, your culture, that's something you contributed. So you want to contribute culture. You don't want to say, I'm this and that. I raised this flag and this flag. Now, I have personally flew both flags. But to me, if the United States is not present and the highest flag that you fly in accordance with the flag regulations, you're not doing honor to even your own country, because you would never want someone to go to that country and do the same. What you honor in one country, you honor in others. So if you really do love both flags, make sure to treat the country that you're in right there with more respect, because that's the ground you stand on.
Yep. So let me share this this little video. That it just blew my mind. I couldn't believe that he.
I'm ready for it.
So this is our illustrious governor.
All hail the Queen.
Trying to here we go. Let's see. Let me get this thing. Here he is with the Lieutenant Governor, Diane Primavera. And, if this doesn't boil your blood, I don't know what does. I mean, this guy has proven that he's definitely not an American if he wants to do something like this.
Well, I mean, it's not really complimentary to Mexican Americans either. I mean, the symbol is the American flag over the Mexican one when you're in America. And if you're in Mexico, then you have to fly the Mexican one over the American one. This is basic flag regulations.
You don't fly foreign flags in the nation.
Okay? Well, you try not to, no.
There's only one flag, one national flag that should fly in the United States, and that's the red, white, and blue. If you're in Mexico,
especially over state buildings, I mean, gosh darn.
If you're in Mexico, you can fly the tricolor. Okay, that's
or the tricolor in Peru, or the tricolor in Guatemala. Man, it's nice to have a unique flag here in the United States. Real quick, I love the American flag. It doesn't look like all the other flags.
Yeah, I bet that just.
As Hugo is proudly displaying.
We're sick, and we're getting ready to be at Cinco de Mayo this Saturday and Sunday, and that's going to be an interesting event, given the nature of all the culture backlash, if you will. I want to see how. I've done about a dozen of those events, but never in this type of climate. So I'm curious to see how it's going to play out, and hopefully it'll be peaceful, and hopefully law enforcement is going to do their job for a change, and not just be, standing on the sidelines and letting people do whatever they want. But
well, we definitely have not been seeing that here in Colorado Springs, Hugo. I mean, just recently, we had a huge police raid on some underground ne'er-do-well lairs, let's just call them that. And yes, found various evidences of drugs and prostitution, and many illegal immigrants were detained. So here in Colorado, we do believe that the police, at least in most places, try to do their best. And where they try to do their best, we at Hispanic Patriot support them.
yep, it's definitely something that we have to be aware of. We're hoping to have good dialogue, and I'm hoping to try to do a few man on the street type interviews and see
The first of its kind and the perfect place for them.
Yep. We'll get to use our new apparatus, and hopefully we'll get some good interviews with people that are attending the festival. In past festivals, we've had a mixture. We've got your typical radical leftists that'll come by and try to razz you, and then you got some reasonable people, and then you got some people that don't want to engage, but you can tell that they're really interested, but don't want to be seen at a Republican booth. So we'll see.
There'll be a lot of curious eyes, though, this year, I bet.
Oh, I'm sure. So this is a collaborative effort between the Denver County Republican Party and the Colorado Hispanic Republicans.
Shout out always to the Colorado Hispanic Republicans.
So we'll be praying for peace. We'll be praying for good weather, because we've had
most of anything of all.
We've had some past events where it got deluged, and I'm hoping, that the rain holds off. A little bit of a sprinkle is okay, but I don't want it to be a downpour like we've had before, because that really puts a damper, pun intended, on things.
Hecho en nuestro hogar, güey. Like, no, that's the thing, man. It's like we can survive pretty much everything, but it's nice to have comfortable conditions. Yep. And we do have beautiful weather here in Colorado.
I plan to wear my Hispanic Patriot shirt. And we'll hopefully, like I said, we'll be looking for some people to interview and see what we can come up with. And
if you'll be there, come on down. Absolutely. Come and meet us. Come and say hi to the Hispanic Patriots you've been watching for all this time.
Yep. If you're in Denver, down at Civic Center Park, it's a 2-day festival. A lot of good food and music. It's a fun event for the most part. You've got some weird stuff that goes on, but overall it's a pretty good family event. And bring your wallets, because the food's not cheap.
Well, nothing in Denver is cheap, especially food.
Before you go, and just buy a drink.
The Hispanic way, let's just eat before you go, because we're not going to eat there. You know what I mean? So even if you're not hungry, eat something.
Well, it's just that the vendors have gotten so expensive. It used to be semi-affordable.
Well, that's what back in the day, every festival like that used to be affordable. I mean, we're seeing that. My generation can't remember a time where these things were accessible, especially to us and our kids and things like that. And it's definitely something we got to fight for to get back. I mean, that's what people have to understand. We are fighting for America that we remember. This is a huge part of it. Huge part of it. Absolutely. And I want to thank all of our viewers real quick, because these things are able to happen because you are helping us get to bigger and better places. So everywhere you share Hispanic Patriot Podcast, it helps us go to cooler and more awesome places that you guys want to go to and see. So make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and check out the website. And if you so are inclined, to donate to us so that we can continue to bring a bigger and better Hispanic Patriot Podcast straight to you.
Absolutely. We want to grow this thing so big that we get attention nationally. We do have some friends around the country who have tuned in and helped out.
And we thank you guys very much for it.
We've got our good friend George Rodriguez down in San Antonio.
Shout out to Adam Dorito, of course, from Tuxes and Tomahawks.
Yep, and then another gentleman from San Antonio that joined us a while back. We're hoping to try to get him back on.
And some Second Amendment podcast stuff that we're looking at as well, guys. Hispanic Patriot is going to be breaking out very soon.
The Second Amendment is at the top of a lot of people's
It's got to be
list now, especially now in Colorado where they passed that horrendous anti-Second Amendment bill.
See, we have a note from Democrats say, get eaten by bobcats.
Yeah,
you peasants. That's basically the mentality.
The good thing is it doesn't take effect until August of 26. So we've got
you got some time.
We've got about 15 months to work on this
and to challenge it in the courts.
Personally, I do not believe that it's going to withstand constitutional challenge.
It is unconstitutional.
There was a similar law in Illinois that got struck down.
And that's Illinois. So if it got stuck down in Illinois, we know we definitely got a chance here, guys.
Yeah. So, but I think, the Democrats in Colorado are just trying to out California. It's
really true.
That's what I, have deducted from all the things and the crazy things that they're doing, and ignoring the Constitution, ignoring the will of the people, and just plowing through as if people aren't going to fight back. Well, there's still patriots here in Colorado who will fight back, and we've got a lot of people that are
willing to fight. And there is something huge to say about Democrat young people, that they are getting ticked the hell off that Democrats are not talking about health care. They're not talking about labor and job regulations. They're not talking about anything that they actually
about
care
energy.
About. They're not, they only want to talk about the things they think the kids are interested in. The Democrats really are having a what up fellow kids moment in trying to appeal to the sock Dems. There's no appealing to these people unless you actually appeal to socialist rhetoric that loses you general elections. And that's why the Democrats are stuck. And you know what? I think they deserve to be.
On another tune, yours truly was elected to the Colorado GOP State Executive Committee this past week.
Congratulations, Hugo.
And I, along with my good friend John Temple from Arapahoe County, are at least two conservatives. And my understanding is that we have two conservatives that were elected from the smaller county vote. If you don't understand how it works, there are 11 large counties in Colorado. They get the vote for two people on the executive committee. Those two people became John Temple and myself. In the smaller county, which is 53 counties, they get the vote on two slots. And they did. They voted, and they got Eric Grossman and another young lady, both conservatives. I see our guest has entered the studio, so we're going to roll into that because we got some time.
Yes, indeed. But real quick to thank you and give a great congratulations to Hugo.
Yep. So we're honored today we're honored today to have a very special guest, Mr. Mark Baisley, who is a candidate running to be the next governor of our state. And so we're going to dive right into the issues that matter most to our community.
Indeed, we are, Hugo. And with Mark Baisley here. Mark Baisley is president of Slipglass Incorporated, a Colorado software company. The Slipglass interactive system visualization technology is the culmination of Baisley's long career as an aerospace engineer with Martin Marietta Hughes, Raytheon, NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, and his first company, Enspherics. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing all of that correctly. Baisley served as chairman of the Colorado Space Business Roundtable and was awarded the Professional Achievement Award from his alma mater, Columbia College, where he served for 12 years on the Board of Trustees after earning his bachelor degree with majors in computer information systems and business administration. In 2018, Mark Baisley was elected to the Colorado State House of Representatives, and in 2022, he was elected to the State Senate, where he serves today. Mark is now a candidate for the governor of our great state of Colorado.
All right, welcome, Mark, to the Hispanic Patriot podcast. How are you?
Yes, welcome, Mark.
You. Good to see you guys. Couldn't have said it better myself. But anyway, thanks for that great intro. Yeah, nice to be with good friends. I've done both for quite a while.
You're working hard, so we understand the delay in getting you here, but you made it.
Hey, us millennials know a lot about not being able to be let out of work on time.
No, yeah. I've been Mark and I have been friends now for what, the better part of 20 years now, since I lived in Douglas
at least
County.
20 years, I'd say, Hugo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I've watched you grow in your movement within the party. Let's start with your story. What inspired you to run for governor?
Well, thanks for asking. It's a big story for me. We all have that pivotal moment in our lives, and mine happened when I was 15 years old. I was living in Puerto Rico, and I was not enjoying it. Gringo in Puerto
As many
Rico.
Puerto Ricans do not as well.
I didn't enjoy it until I met this hot brunette in a bikini one day, and that was on my 16th birthday. And then all of a sudden, I loved Puerto Rico, and it was the best place. And not only did I not want to leave when my dad got transferred back to the States, but I kept going back. So, and that hot bikini girl is my wife of 47 years. So, yeah. Anyway,
Wow.
That's beautiful right there. Family always keeps us there.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, but the story for me is just a real important one. I was attending an amazing school there, and is an all boys boarding school run by the Benedictine monks, and I'm sitting there right after study hall with my buddy Raul Acosta, and Raul says he and I are talking, and says, "You getting used to Puerto Rico yet?" I mean, and this was a full immersion for me because, we lived in our house. We lived 3 miles from the next English-speaking family, and then my dad, would drop us off every Sunday night for a week of school, and so I was total immersion. But anyway, so I was whining to Raul about missing home and all that good old US of A. And I'm sure I was saying something highly inappropriate about it all. And but one of the priests goes walking by, and he caught what I said. And I just thought, oh no, I've just offended one of the locals. I didn't mind offending my classmate, but but offending one of the priests was. Anyway, he turns to me and he goes, "You're right, Mr. Baisley. Your nation is a very special place, and if you want to understand why, you'll go read your founding document." And at Colegio San Antonio Abad, that meant, and I will quiz you on this when I see you in the hallway tomorrow, which he did. So, but I remember looking at Raul and going, "Oh, I got to go to the library." So I scurried on down the library, and we had a real serious library on the campus. And I just asked for, I remember asking, "I need to see the founding document of America, please." And I didn't know what I was asking for, but the librarian fortunately did. And so he comes back a few minutes later, sits me down at a study desk, and opens up some big old book to the Declaration of Independence. And when I read that, it was like the skies opened up and the angels sang, because I had been missing the US of A. And while we would visit a lot of the other islands, the Dutch, French, and independent islands and the British islands and all that, I wasn't finding that kind of magic spark in the people. But when I read, and it was the words specifically after the ones that we all have memorized, we have the ones memorized. We are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. But it was the next phrase that struck me. It says, "Governments are instituted among men to secure these rights, getting their I don't remember what the word getting, but getting their just powers from the consent of the governed." And so that purpose of government, that the government is to secure the people's rights that were created, given us by our Creator, that struck me hard. And I remember it just about brought me to tears. And I'm thinking, that's the magic. That right there is it. And I just kind of vowed that when I got big and hopefully living back in the good old US of A, that I would work to try to preserve what the founders had given us. So that's been my motivation all my life. It's not been my career path, really. I got into aerospace engineering and did all that stuff that you guys were reading initially. And that's a wonderful career that I still work at through Slip Glass, our visualization software. But that was just what was in my head and heart. And so as opportunities just presented themselves to get involved in the Republican Party in Colorado, I just seemed to jump on every one of those and see what I could do to try to get the right people in office at the right place, right time, and work on campaigns to help get those good people elected, and then keep them reminded all the time of founding principles and the Constitution and all that, the party platform. And then one day,
which is severely lacking these days. Yes.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
So would it be fair to say we have a rocket scientist running for governor?
Well, that might be fun. It wouldn't be fair, though.
Look at that honesty, my friends.
It's more that as an engineer, I work with rocket scientists and implement their science as an engineer. So
okay,
yeah,
I've met a couple myself, and they're a rare breed.
You know what's even rarer though is a politician who doesn't fluff up his resume.
Well,
it's good to have you on the show, Mark. Very good on the show.
Well, you're kind of. I will brag on this though. One of the most fun assignments I had was the software integration lead for the Titan rocket, the Mark Marietta's heavy lift rocket.
Oh my goodness, that does sound like an amazing experience.
It was, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's going on? What are they talking about when they're going through the countdown and all systems go and all that? What does that mean? Well, I know because I integrated the software to launch one of those big birds, and it's cool. Just making sure that all the pressures and the temperatures and the flows and the vibrations and all that are all within tolerance, and that you can light the fuse. So yeah.
Very nice.
So, our Hispanic community values in case faith, family, freedom, hard work. And it sounds like, your values align with ours. And of course, you're married to a fellow Hispanic. So you have lived it and grown within the community. And I'm sure you've got great connections that way. How do you see the Hispanic culture here in Colorado and the opportunity for the Republican Party to firmly connect once and for all with that very conservative base? Because that's something that I personally, as you know, have been shouting from the rooftops for the last quarter century here in Colorado. And I've had some people that will listen and some people that will just pay lip service. And I'll be honest with you, I'm tired of the lip service. I want somebody that understands the dynamics. And before I go too far and get you into that, I want to make sure that the listeners and the people out there understand that we're not talking about identity politics. This has been something that some people have thrown back in my face whenever I bring up the issue of Hispanic voters. We're not talking about identity politics here. That's a different topic altogether. But people try to conflate it and try to shut down any type of attempt to attract Hispanic voters to our party, which should be a staple. So what are your views on that?
Yeah, I think the Republican Party is a natural home for the Hispanic community. And by the way, Hugo, you more than anybody, you have championed this cause for as long as I've known you, obviously. So thank you for all of the work that you've done, and just raising the flag, the American flag, and saying this is a home for us. And you're so right. So anyway, I've always appreciated you and your message, and you've never let up, and you're encouraging others. But yeah, so in the Hispanic community, they value the dignity of work, right, in a big way, and something that I work on all the time here. In fact, I was working on a bill towards that when I'm realizing that I'm 15 minutes late to come talk with you guys. So I'm really sorry about that. This is that time of year.
No, they're hitting us really hard up there in Capitol Hill. So it is what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy. We'll be here till midnight at least tonight.
God love you.
Yeah, and probably every night for the next few days. But
sounds like the RNC all over again.
Yeah, yes, indeed. Not as fun though.
No, nowhere near as fun.
But so something I focus on because I believe there's very few things that the government ought to be doing. Remember that description? It's the purpose is to secure the people's rights. So we might ask the government to do things like create infrastructure, roads, and cell towers or air traffic control and so on. But we want to facilitate commerce, facilitate the creativity and the ambition of all the individuals. So the things that I've been working on lately is I helped get the CHIPS Act passed, or we had a local bill that put us in the running for the CHIPS Act from the federal government. So what that's about is the federal government, in using this CHIPS Act, is attempting to bring semiconductor manufacturing away from China and back to the good old US of A, because
very important.
We can't trust what they're going to build, right? They'll sneak Trojan horses in, and we put them in our equipment and our electronics and so on, and our computers, and then that information gets lifted and software gets stolen and all that. So CHIPS Act was one. Almost a year ago, almost to the day, and I led the charge to get us chosen, Colorado chosen, as the tech hub for quantum computing. Now, that was a big bake-off between any state that wanted to compete for it, but it was just going to be one state, and we won it. And it took a lot of work, but we showed how we are building around the University of Colorado up in Boulder, their physics lab, and they've been generating some very cool stuff with quantum computing, which is the next generation of computers. And so now, we invested $74 million of Colorado taxpayers' dollars, which is for a Republican, to ask to invest taxpayers' monies was a tough thing, but the return on investment is over $1 billion. So that pouring in, and we've already got 3,000 very good paying jobs in quantum now. We have spin-off companies like a Clean Laser company in Golden and a cryogenics company in Denver. So anyway, very cool stuff, and it's just building, it's getting bigger. And then the latest accomplishment was about 2 months ago, maybe not quite that long ago, where we brought in the Sundance Film Festival to Colorado. So that will bring in $2 billion in economic revenue over the next 10 years. So it's a 10-year commitment by the Sundance Festival team, and they will be housed in Boulder. But I've met with the CEO of Sundance Film Festival, and he committed to me multiple times that he was going to spread the love across the state of Colorado. And it's like having the Super Bowl come to town for 10 years running. So it's a 2.5 weeks of film festival that will be centered in Boulder, but it will pour all over the Front Range. And they've promised that they'll reach out to Durango and the rest of the state while they're here. So anyway, these are just building opportunities for our folks to step up with their creativity, with their ambition, with their smarts, and so on. And if I can keep rambling for a minute, another big is education. So I've been highly involved in education, and the reason is
that takes us to the next topic.
All right,
which I'll let Nick go ahead
you lead your show.
Absolutely. Well, one thing, just really quick, I want to say,
peeking at our sheets here.
Hey, any advantage you can get is a smart idea. Real quick, before it goes any further, I wanted to let people know. So we had a lot of personal experience with Mark here. One thing I personally appreciate is your sharpness. I've never seen you, what I like to call, do the politician dance. You've always been straightforward with people. And I think people need that, especially in the Hispanic community, because one thing we're very afraid of with regards to education and parental rights is the idea that we might be hurt by a legislation that is designed outwardly to help, but is actually designed to punish, as we were talking about earlier in the show. So what I'm wondering is, Number one, do you support school choice and giving parents more control over their children's education? And what could you do as governor to protect parents' rights when it comes to school curriculum and the values being taught, so that we, especially in other communities who have different values than the Democrats, can fight back and retain our family culture?
What a great question. This is an area where I'm kind of severe on it. I don't think that, let me put it this way. I think it was one of the big mistakes that we made over way before any of us were around, when government began teaching our kids. So I don't think that there should be government schools, public schools.
Amen. I will say amen to that. People say, should we fund more public schools? The question must be asked, should we have public schools?
Is that an appropriate role for government? I don't believe it is. I am fine with us taxing ourselves in order to pay for education for those of education age, the K-12 and even into higher ed. But it doesn't make sense to me that the government would deliver the instruction. I mean, think about that. If the government has a bias, and certainly it does, and who works as government employees more than the Democrats, more than folks on the left, and then we're going to turn our kids over to them. Most of the big fights that we have by far in this building, in the Capitol building, is because we have government schools. These are fights that are around the control over the children. And so it's what they're being taught. It's what bias is being presented to them. It's how they get involved in their sexuality and keep that from the parents over and over and over. It was a dangerous move to entrust our children to the government. So choice, yeah, you better believe it. So I was the founding board president of a STEM school in Highlands Ranch, a charter school that was all centered around the geeks like me, who wanted to go work at Martin Marietta, Lockheed Martin, and United Launch Alliance. So we started that out with a board seat for Lockheed Martin and a board seat for United Launch Alliance, the rocket company, and so they did what we hoped they would do. They spoiled the school, and we showed the paths of education to those jobs in defense aerospace. So yeah, but as far as choice,
I was going to say the public education came along, and when it was first started, it was basically local control of education for their children,
right,
which made sense as we were entering into the industrial age and the industrial revolution. It was never intended for top-down management from federal government, at least of all, to get in there and dictate to a local district what should be taught, what shouldn't be taught.
Especially related to ideological and political education, especially. So it sounds like, Mark, you want to liberate the schools. You don't want to defund them. You want to liberate them. I think a lot of people would accuse you then, you want to take money from the schools. You want kids dumber. No, not at all. Especially when you look at government school standards, it would appear quite the opposite.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at my voting record, you'll see that I vote for funding the schools all the time. I would like to see
it's not about money, it's about control, it sounds.
That's well put. That's well put. I recognize that it costs money to run a school, to teach kids, and I want to see our teachers paid a lot more than they currently are, and I'll explain that in a second. But so if you look at my voting record, you'll see that I have always voted for funding schools. I just wish it were delivered by someone else or differently. But when it comes to paying the teachers, wouldn't it be cool if a scientist, an accountant, a telecom worker, if they were to get well into their career and then switch over to teacher and become a teacher, and then share their direct applied science experience, and especially small business owners that know and understand things like cash flow and living by the regulations and all that, to be able to convey all of that maturity and that wisdom along with the basic instruction would be so valuable. But to do that, we need to attract those people by paying them well. So I think we need to pay as well as we do pay an engineer. And if we do that, we're going to attract some amazing people, not people who have just decided in middle school they want to be a teacher, and then they go to college to become a teacher, and then they go right back onto the campus and they never experienced the free
Real life.
market.
Well, they come in without any real world experience. That's always been my concern. But it's also, the fact is that education in America is not education; it's indoctrination.
In many cases,
Education
it
has
is.
taken a backseat to social engineering and other things that radicals have infiltrated the educational system.
Yeah.
That's why I'm glad to see the president dismantle the Department of Education. Education should go back to the local levels. And regarding teachers' pay, I firmly believe that good teachers should get paid better. It should be a merit-based system. And if we didn't have unions standing in the way of firing bad teachers, we would have better results. But
I was just thinking the same thing, and also hiring good teachers. Because, Mark, it's very interesting how many of those people, I love hearing that idea. I've been advocating and hearing that since I was about 14. I'm glad to hear it from a gubernatorial candidate, because the people who would do those jobs and would be very happy, especially with retirement income, etc., extra income, they are not allowed to teach because they can't join the teachers' unions. And so it seems, again, goes back to that point about control. Control is the problem, not about the money. So we Republicans are very misunderstood on this issue of education. I'm glad to hear you clear this up and make that strong point.
Well, thank you. And I want to emphasize that point, that the way we do things now, speaking of indoctrination, is we primarily, almost exclusively, I'll say, hire as teachers people who have been indoctrinated. So does this make any sense? No. What's their primary goal? Their primary mission is to prepare those students to thrive in the free market. And they have not experienced the free market themselves. So it just doesn't make any sense to me that they graduate from college and go right into the classroom. So I think we need to change that model very significantly and bring teachers as the masters for the apprentices right out of industry, and appeal to them with good salaries.
We used to call that integrity, sir. Glad to hear it back.
All right, let's roll into the faith issue, the family issue, and a little bit on the life issue. How would you defend religious freedom in our state?
Well, what a great question. I say we hammer anyone who tries to oppress it. I mean, this is the beginning of everything. Our nation was founded in faith, right? In fact, if you look at that wonderful document, the Declaration of Independence, and by the way, I have on my desk on the Senate floor, I have a statue. It's about a 10-inch tall statue of Thomas Jefferson holding the Declaration of Independence. So that's the importance level for me. And so it opens up, the letter opens up, written to King George III and saying, "Hey, sorry, King, we're getting a divorce. We are declaring our independence from you guys, from the crown." And then the next thing that it says is we're going to found this new nation on the laws of nature and of nature's God. Amazing words. And then it goes on to describe how we are created equally and endowed by those rights. Well, I'm hearing the call to the Senate.
No.
When they call us back in like this,
the call of the wild.
Yeah, the sergeant at arms. Maybe I should take my laptop down there and let you experience that. But he comes out and he yells. Yeah, he just yells throughout the Capitol, and yells out, "Call of the Senate," and then they'll start ringing a bell here in a second. So I apologize. I'm enjoying the conversation, but I'm gonna have to go in and fight the good fight.
No, it's quite all right. We are too. We'll call this a teaser trailer for many more interviews in the future.
Yeah, just to be clear, we do hope to have you back on in a less confrontational or obstructional,
stressful,
dysfunctional, less obstructive situation.
If all hell breaks loose,
when you're unable, or when you're able to give it some better time and all, but we will have you back on. So we understand you've got your duty to take care of in the legislature. When does it expire here? The 7th or
expire? I like the way you put that. Yeah. May 7th, according to the Colorado state constitution, it's 120 days that we can meet, and that ends on May 7, Wednesday.
Awesome.
So yeah.
That's only a week left. There you go. You don't have too much left.
That's the celebration day. Okay.
Yeah,
we don't want to hold you up. We'll go ahead and plan on having you back. We'll continue the interview with you. Feel free to reach out to us at any time. If you have something important you'd like to get out, we'd love to have you, even for a brief, short video. We can do that for you because we know you're doing important work. But we want to hear from all the candidates. We've got all the candidates on the list, and we want to make sure that the audience gets to hear from everyone. And of course, there's going to be some forums that are going to be present here.
But from a real source, we appreciate, honestly, this kind of intimate interaction.
Before we let you go, I do want to, there's Cinco de Mayo this weekend, and Denver GOP and Colorado Hispanic Republicans have a booth down there. So if you get a chance to swing by, go ahead. We'll probably be down there some of the time. And, we just need to be there, at least in presence. I've done about a dozen of those, and I think that the people do appreciate the effort of the Republicans. And people can say that Republicans are in a bad light right now. I don't believe that. I think this is one of our better times, and this is the best time to reach out to those voters who are on the fence, so to speak, and or learning the truth about what's going on. But Hispanics want opportunity, and that's it. They don't want special treatment. They don't want handouts. They want opportunity, and just get out of the way and
Which is why we appreciated what you were talking about. So the opportunities brought to our state, and the many opportunities to talk to you again, Mark, which we will appreciate every single one we get.
Well, thank you both, gentlemen. Let me add to this. I want Hispanics in the Republican Party. But I just want to, from what little authority I have to do such a thing, I want to extend the olive branch, extend the welcome. Hispanics, you belong here with us in the Republican Party. And so I hope that you'll consider that, because we just love to have you here, and we just love you to pieces. So anyway, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate you too very much.
Thank you. Have a good session. Don't be too hard on them.
No, be as hard as you want. I say the opposite.
I'm going to be tough. All right.
There you go,
All right.
Mark.
Take care, Mark.
Good
Thank
to
you
see
for coming
Mark.
on.
Much appreciated, sir. There he goes.
All right, that was Mark Baisley.
Back to the fight. Straight from the front lines. Can you imagine that, people?
He is married to one of us, and a fine lady. I've met her, and he's got a great family. And he's been a hard worker for the Republican Party. We don't always agree on everything everywhere.
But you don't need to. That's the thing.
The Republican Party is that way. We have freedom of thought, freedom of expression. If we can just focus on the things that we can move forward as a party, and understand that we've got a great opportunity this cycle to actually start turning this state around by going out into the communities, which we're going to be doing as a show. We're going to go into the communities and talk one-on-one with people right in their own habitat, their businesses, their homes,
right up in there,
their parks, all the things.
Because it's ours too. That's what we got to say, because we are not just standing here above everything. All right. Me and Hugo live in this state. We have family in this state. We have given our lives to this place because we believe that this city on a hill, on the mountains, might be indeed the place where America gets restored, where Democrat nonsense gets thrown back and repelled, because
Yeah.
this was the state that they tried it in first. Rocky Mountain Heights, look it up, etc. We all know what that was. If we can push back the tide here, we can push it back throughout America. That's a huge part of our message.
We want to restore sanity and common sense. If we can do that here in this state, we will be on our way back to a state that we can be very proud of. It is one of the most beautiful states in the country.
It really is. And the place in the world.
And, you know, we want to fight and get it back, take it back from the hands of the radicals who have bad intentions. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. You know,
it really is.
We like to speak the truth here. Let's just
and
be
nothing
honest.
But the truth.
There are people who basically want very radical ideas and want to transform this state into something that it was never intended to be. So,
and cannot function as. And before we get going, I want to mention just one thing because Mark brought it up, and I thought it was a great point. We are dealing with people who have been brainwashed by foreign alien governments, by communist governments, by all of our enemies for over 60 years, probably even more than that. More than that. God knows how 70 years, so long we have been brainwashed. We have the indoctrinating new inductees to the indoctrination, and we are no longer remembering what the hell it was all for. So we have the greatest opportunity to get rid of the conditioning, get rid of the brainwashing, and unify as Americans away from enemy ideas, foreign, ridiculous alien ideas, authoritarianism. We believe in freedom here in the West. We believe in freedom here in America. That's what human beings strive on. That is what we fight for here in Colorado, which is why we fight for our guns, fight for our kids, and fight for you, all of our Hispanic patriots.
Absolutely. We hope to have, we will have Mark Baisley back, and we'll have, next week we've got Scott Bottoms, another great candidate for governor from Colorado Springs. And
we have amazing people running for office right now, don't we, Hugo?
Yes, we do. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. We wish you a good night, a great weekend. If you're down in Denver,
come and see us on Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo.
Órale.
Have a cerveza and
un poquito tequila, güey.
A couple of tacos and
Mazoetas and some empanadas.
Yeah. Thank you all for tuning in tonight, and God bless.